We're wasting precious time. Come on to the theater.
Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the Boyos Discuss, the podcast where we pick a topic and then shoot the shit about it for a while. This week, we're back again after a long break. It's been over a year?
Look, we're not paid for this. I'm sorry.
Yeah, we're busy boys.
We're back after this break. Another season of Boyos Summer Musicals, and we're kicking it off with 1978's Grease. But before we get into that, I'm Matthew, and I'm joined by my co-hosts Ben and Better Ben. How have you boyos been?
Chilling.
Doing all right.
So I guess just some facts sort of before we get into the synopsis. So this is, and I didn't know this before, I thought the movie came first, but it's actually an adaptation of a 1972 stage musical of the same name.
I mean, that makes sense because, other than the car scene at the end, a lot of this is very tight, sets, something you could easily convey on a stage.
Yeah.
So we were kind of wondering, why doesn't it seem like they're doing anything exciting with the background? But it makes sense if you're basing it off of what you can do on it.
And I'd seen it as a play, and it just felt really natural when I was watching it on stage. So I just assumed, I was like, oh, they made a movie of the play. So
Right.
I guess that's why I kind of went in with that. Yeah, of course there was a stage musical. I guess I wouldn't be surprised if the movie came first. So I don't know.
Yeah. But had a budget of, and this is 1978 money, of $6 million. In 2025 money, that's about $29.5 million.
That's a nice little A24 film right there.
But it had a box office, again, this is 1978 money, of $396.3 million. When you adjust that for inflation, that works out to about $1.95 billion.
Good golly almighty.
We should make movies.
Well, and that's what
We're in the wrong business.
It's one of those things where, obviously growing up, this is one of those movies that just, I feel like everyone watched, But, I don't know, it's just putting that together.
Well, literally think about, how much work this movie... I might be jumping to the end, but, there wasn't bold filmmaking. There wasn't an original score, if this was off of a play. This wasn't, John Travolta's kind of big. And Olivia Newton-John, kind of big. But and also, what is the plot of this movie? Nothing. So they did the bare minimum work for the bare minimum money and made fucking hand over fist. I'm saying, this is how we should be if we want to make money.
You know what's sad though? That 1978 return, a little under $400 million. That would be probably one of the top 10 movies this year.
Yeah, it's wild, and it's literally just hey, look at your nostalgia. Remember high school? Anyway, give me your money. Give me $2 billion.
There was something I'd seen where it's oh yeah, if you were when this movie came out, it's 50s, nostalgia or whatever. And it's if we had that now, it would be early 2000s nostalgia.
Sure.
And that's what's...
Well, yeah, because it's nostalgia cycles are 20 years because it's people that they're finally established in their careers. And some of them have kids, so they just want to show them, hey, this was what it was like when I was growing up. Mm-hmm. And then we just got stuck on the 80s for goddamn forever.
And also, if you're preying on nostalgia, you need a large group to have that nostalgia. Right. And there literally is not a bigger group than the baby boom generation in America.
That's a good point as well. Yeah.
They gave them all their money. Yes. Jesus.
This movie was directed by Randall Kleiser, and he never really... I guess sort of reached the same heights as he did for this movie. The only things that it really noted on his, Wikipedia page were he did a movie called The Blue Lagoon, which got just absolutely demolished critically. I think it was nominated for a Golden Raspberry or something. So not a good movie.
Should have been a Blue Raspberry.
He did Flight of the Navigator, which I think is a Disney movie, and then White Fang.
White Fang's a book.
Jack London, right?
So I guess it's an adaptation.
Yeah, it's have you ever seen they parody a lot of someone throwing rocks at a wolf, get out of here, you big dumb animal?
Patrick and SpongeBob.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's he's raising a wolf like a dog and he realizes that he's part of the wild. So he's get out, civilization will ruin you. You have to go to the mythical American West.
But yeah, before we get into the synopsis, we sort of touched on it a bit. What's everyone's history or background with this movie?
I mean, it's one of those things that this big, it just permeates pop culture. Mm-hmm. I remember singing one of the songs in like first grade music class just to learn like basic rhythms. I rented it at some point because I remember watching it and only having it for a weekend, but I must have been like 12 or something, because we'll get into it more. A lot of it just went way over my head.
That was the same for me too. We had it growing up on VHS, and so I don't know why my parents would have let us watch this, because again, to your point, like a lot of
their nostalgia.
Yes, but a lot of the content is not what I would consider to be like kid friendly, you know, and it's a lot of it is sort of played tongue in cheek, but like, you know, you sort of watch it as an adult and you're like, what the fuck were my parents doing? Like,
why are they making high schoolers look so horny?
How about you? Did you?
So I guarantee I watched this movie in an entire, like in the same way, like my mom put it on when I was young, and I was just like, what the fuck is this? Like, there's, for somebody outside of that nostalgia, it's just like, I don't relate to any of this. Okay, music. And so I listen to the music, and my mom is like from New Jersey, so she has two men just in big pinups on her like wall, I'm sure. It's like Bruce Springsteen and John Travolta. And so yeah, she was like drooling on John Travolta, and I'm just like stuck watching Grease, the film, and like the play she would like take me to go see, and she loved Grease, and so I was just transmitted that. But I had a very similar experience with this, like between this and Cats.
Okay, yeah.
I remember seeing the play, I remember seeing the movie, I remember some of these songs, but I couldn't sit down and like retell you this story. I couldn't just be like, oh, I know Grease. Like, I didn't feel like I did, but I know that I'd seen it a lot.
Yeah. With that done, though, I am going to kick things over to Ben for the synopsis.
The movie starts in the summer of 1958, and Danny Zuko, played by John Travolta, and Sandy Olsen, which I did not know her last name. I did take that from Wikipedia. Played by Olivia Newton-John, are being adorable and in love in a beach montage. Like, they're just running in the waves and like burying each other in the sand. Just real cute stuff. But as the summer comes to a close, Sandy tells him she has to move back to Sydney, Australia. But he tells her it's only the beginning of their love.
Wow.
I know. But then we go into an animated montage to Grease by Frankie Valli, and it was released as a single ahead of the movie. Like, it was to promote it, but it was released in like May, and the movie came out in June. And this helps set the stage, so it's the late 50s and showed that greaser lifestyle.
It is a banger song. Like, I just had this on my phone before I really associated it. But it's funny that it sounds more 70s than 50s. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, like, you're right. Yeah.
And it's not doo-wop or big band.
No, not Elvis. It's not rock and roll. And the music in the movie is rock and roll. But like this Grease theme, it feels a lot more modern, which is not a bad thing at all. Like, I think that's cool to embrace, of being like, you know, playing to your audience. I wanted to talk about like the beach montage. I think there's a really big missed opportunity there. Because, like, we see these people running, oh, I love you forever and we'll be forever. And I'm like, who the fuck are you? Like, this is not established at all. Why do I care about the relationship?
It's because we got to get to high school,
But they hinge the whole movie on, like, I thought I knew you. Who are you? You're not who I met. And I'm like, isn't he? I don't know. I don't know who you met.
They're two conventionally attractive people hugging each other and holding each other and kissing. What more do you want?
But like, you have, I feel like, a much more interesting movie that I'm sure has been done to death. Like, I can't name you one verbatim, but I'm sure it's happened, where it's like, here's this guy and he's this way, but he meets the right girl and he changes his ways, you know, and that is kind of what Grease does.
The Great Gatsby?
Exactly. but I feel like this is a whole movie. This like just 2-minute montage of like, we'll be forever partners before you go to Australia, and I've changed and we're better. Like, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, it just feels like there's more movie in what they didn't show than what they do show.
I think it's stuck in production hell, but they were going to do a prequel called Summer Lovin'.
I do mention that at the end. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
They, as of last, I think August, they haven't said anything about it.
We can make $2 billion, guys. Nice.
But with like the montage, so like it was just showing a bunch of 50s stuff, but I liked it. The animation kind of looked like Saturday morning cartoons, so I felt like that was trying to pull in nostalgia, because it was not good animation.
No, yeah, like not like Looney Tunes animation. It was kind of like Bakshi, Ralph Bakshi. Is that who I'm thinking of?
Yeah.
Yeah, like grungy and gross looking animation. But
Right.
that does make me think of like before we had more like 80s style. I don't know. It's a fun peek into like that old style.
Two things that made me laugh is one, it's starts with a character getting out of bed and it's just like a ball of hair, and then he puts grease and like combs it, and then it's John Travolta, but he looks like handsome Squidward.
Yeah, it's like they're all caricaturized.
That, and I made us rewind and like try and find it. There is a blink and you miss it biker guy with a swastika.
Yep.
I don't know what part of the... According to Reddit, that was veterans from the Second World War starting biker gangs and having their war trophies, which maybe it was just like on there for like 2 frames.
Also like intimidation, and like bikers wear like those German helmets and stuff, and it's like, oh yeah, we're bad.
Yeah.
But, and I also like on analyzing it, it's like reverse, and which actually has a different meaning, and it's not like, it's not angled like the Nazi swastika. It's more like the Hindu, but it's not like the swastika is going one way to the right, and that symbolizes like the sun. And then if you reverse it and it goes the other way, it's like svastika or something. Like it's some different pronunciation, and it means night and the moon or whatever. I'm probably getting too philosophical with it, but if we really want to dive into it, I
just
mean,
like
well, actually, it's not a swastika.
The bikers are embracing the darkness of the human soul.
Exact. It's the whole movie's trying to get you to look at that blink and you miss it thing. That's actually what it's all for.
And you said this movie wasn't deep.
Yeah, take it all back.
So after the montage, it starts at the beginning of senior year at Rydell High, where Danny returns to his friends, the T-Birds, who are a greaser gang. And Sandy moves to Southern California, and she's also enrolled. She's not moving back to Australia. Their love can live on.
Wow.
And she falls into a group of girls called the Pink Ladies, which I guess is the lady version of a greaser gang. But
yeah, that seems strange.
I don't know. They don't have the same coordinated outfits like the T-Birds do. But Sandy and Danny are recounting their summer romance in the song Summer Lovin', where Sandy recounts a very wholesome storybook romance, and Danny brags about getting 6 kinds of laid over the summer.
Hell yeah.
I have a question. Are these people, it's like they think they're really cool, but no one else in the school seems to like give a shit?
Yeah. Well, they're the like rejects, like quote unquote. But
oh yeah, okay, yeah.
But they also do seem like absolute dinguses. Like, okay, I will use some of my personal experience being in high school of like these kids exist on the periphery, and yes, they do think they're cool, and it's just like they're bums, and the rest of the school is just like these guys are going nowhere, and they're happy about it. That's strange, and then they go about their business.
Yeah.
So
They ain't hurting anybody.
yeah.
But Summer Lovin' is that song that, like, if you've heard a song from this musical, it's like one of 3. And it's this one. And there is the part that always gets pointed out of one of the lyrics is, did she put up a fight? And just like, what? Why would you ask that?
Not my favorite song.
It's fine. It's iconic, but I agree. It's not the best that this has to offer.
Yeah.
I mean, the version I have on my phone is from... They did like a television production of Grease, the stage play, and it's just much better.
Well, like I'm always curious. Like I'm always trying to look for patterns in what inspires other movies later on, and I'm wondering if the Pink Ladies had any hand in like they felt very Mean Girls and like we wear pink on Wednesday or whatever. But also they remind me of high school, so I don't want to just be like Mean Girls stole the Pink Ladies, but it seems like some kind of like spiritual kind of link there. And then when Danny finishes singing Summer Loving', he's like singing, belting out the last words, like his hand way up in the air, like posing like for like a freeze frame basically. It made me think of just like Breakfast Club. Like I don't know, it has slight echoes of other movies. I'm not saying that these are directly inspired, but it I always note when it like reminds me of another film. I'm curious if that inspired anything.
There has to be, at some point, someone was like, guys, we're going to do a movie about how cool high school was. And I was like, that's never happened before. Will it work? Trust me.
Trust.
We're going to make $2 billion.
I don't think I've ever heard of a spread like that, except for maybe like the first Mad Max.
Yeah.
We're just like, they made it for what, like $250,000? And then
Something
it made
crazy
so much
I
money.
want to say they made $1 billion.
Insane.
Yeah.
Like with it after inflation?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. It's like, I don't think they made $1 billion in 1970s.
Oh, no. Yeah, no.
Right.
But upon hearing Danny's name, Rizzo, one of the pink ladies and the chief mean girl, who had a romantic past with Danny, sets up like a reverse meet cute for them to meet at the pep rally. And it's basically just to be a petty bitch. Like, I guess she's mad at Danny because they broke up, but then just like, oh, here's this cinnamon roll of a girl. Let's hurt her. It'll be funny. But at the pep rally, Sandy arrives with a jock date, and one of the T-Birds, Kaneki, shows up, and he has a junker car, but he plans to restore it so he can street race. Danny is too caught up wanting to have a bad boy persona, so he rebuffs Sandy, and like not even a cool way. He just turns into a goober, just like, oh yeah, that girl, we ain't nothing. Blah, blah. It's like, you don't talk like that any other time in the movie.
Yeah.
Also, very confusing why he would rather impress his friends than make out with Olivia Newton-John from the 70s.
Right.
Just like
your best friends would have a problem with you being like
a normal human being.
Yeah, putting value into your partner. I don't know.
Have you ever heard me screech whenever Christy comes over?
That is true.
But then after the pep rally, also it has my favorite character in it, the coach, that's just like, we're going to kill him. We're going to rip him apart. And they're burning like an effigy of the other school, which also the pep rally just being...
50s were a wild time.
Well, and they just leave it there. Everyone leaves. Everyone except like 3 people. And they just leave it on fire in this tree. And it's like, okay.
That's like, looking into what the 50s high school experience was, it seems like a standard one, but with less kind of like control or less regulation, or just like, oh, you could just say that, couldn't you? Like, gee, like fucking the dynamic between men and women was just straight up just like biased. Like, oh yeah, there's machoism and you're supposed to be a girl and deal with it, and that's the way it is. And just like, I don't know, there's still like parts of humanity. Like, you're talking about the coach. And I think he's like very wholesome throughout the movie. Like,
later on, we see more of that. But like in this part, he's just like very over the top. It's very funny.
That's
like
good.
I loved that.
Yeah, I've seen too many lame ass coaches and teachers being like, yeah, we'll do it this year.
Yeah,
it's like, nah, I appreciate this, coach.
Well, it's because your school knows it's not going to win.
Yeah, that's disheartening. All right, we need this. What's his name? Coach fucking Bumpkin.
I don't know.
Whatever. We need him.
But after the pep rally, the pink ladies have a slumber party. Sandy is made fun of for not drinking or smoking or having sex because Halloween hasn't been released yet. It'll be released in about 4 months from now. Oh. So now they'll know better that doing those things will get you killed.
Dude, that's actually really interesting. Like, imagine everybody running out to see Grease and being like, yeah, high school teenagers, sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Like, fuck yeah. And it's like, Halloween's like, this is the consequences. And it's like,
And added one of the pink ladies, Frenchie, who is going to drop out of high school to go to beauty school. She tries to pierce Sandy's ear in the background and causes her to be, or bathroom, and causes Sandy to be sick, which, like, I get it. We all want to smoke cigarettes and drink cheap wine, but if I was at a kickback and someone was like, yeah, we're going to do, body piercings.
I think that's my cue to skidoo.
No, it's because she's a drip.
Yeah.
And while she's in the bathroom, the pink ladies sing "Look at Me, I'm Sandra Dean" and just make fun of her. And it is an okay song.
Yeah. I don't even remember how it went.
It's "Look at Me, I'm Sandra Dean, blah, lousy blah, blah. With virginity."
Yeah, that one. Yeah.
All right.
But then the T-Birds arrive, and Rizzo sets off with Kaneki to have sex, and she makes fun of Danny. He's like, haha, I'm going to sleep with your friend. And he retorts that he doesn't dig with used goods, as the kids say. But then shenanigans ensue at makeout point when Kaneki's condom is broke. Oh, no.
Did you remember what he said? He's like, I've had this since 7th grade or something like that. Like,
damn.
That was a solid joke. And they're about to just say, fuck it. But his virginity is saved by the arrival of a 35-year-old man playing a high schooler. Like, he has a weathered face. Like, he looked like he was in blue collar.
Yeah.
But he's the leader of the Scorpions, a rival greaser gang, and he has his lady friend Cha-Cha. And just, you're talking about, like, the greasers just being kind of the outcasts. The two greaser gangs having a rivalry remind me of, like, Boy Scouts. Of just, like, that other troop is the biggest losers ever. They're not cool like us, but...
And there are movies that have, like kids in gangs, like, with rivalries, and they do it in much more intensity. Like, I'm thinking about The Outsiders. Basically,
even West Side Story.
Yeah. Well, people are getting killed.
Oh yeah,
like these gangs are serious.
Yeah,
but this fucking Scorpions and T-Birds are like, no, we can make out with our girlfriends better than you.
The only time where there's any hint of like violence is Kaneki like pops a knife out at one point, and then that goes nowhere.
Right, that's just some high school bullshit.
Yeah,
like, oh, look at me. Like, do you remember flipping around butterfly knives? Do you remember these kids? Fucking like, well, check it out. Like, it's just goofy.
Yeah,
like they're not gonna use it, and then if they used it, they'd be like Sandy and throw up in the bathroom. Like, they're not fucking hard. It's like when I hear kids in our like North Texan suburbia being like, yo, we don't play games here, man. Like, we're ghetto. It's like, shut the fuck up.
I come from a lower middle class household. I know what the streets are like.
Right. My privilege isn't as intense.
No.
But after that, Sandy walks outside heartbroken because not that her friends just made fun of her in a coordinated song while she cried in the bathroom, but Danny is being a tool because they have a timeless love that somehow holds this entire show together. And she sings Hopelessly Devoted to You.
That we didn't get to see develop. So
yeah.
We don't give a fuck.
Yes. I also, before she sings this, I thought it was really funny. The one friend that's like hanging out still, she's like, oh, I got to write like letters or whatever to my love. And they're like, well, who is it? And she pulls out her wallet and there's like 60 pictures of different dudes. And she's like, yeah, they're all my pen pals. And I say like, you know, they're the one or whatever to like all of them, and it's like, Jesus.
Does she do that for like just attention? Does she do it for sport?
Who knows?
I mean, it just sounds exhausting trying to make like I can't keep
but
up.
Also lore accurate for 16, 17-year-olds. Maybe
I'm old and tired because trying to hold together 3 different Hinge conversations.
People
just like, oh my God. I'm tired of having the same conversation 4 times. But belittled by the Scorpion's sick car, the T-Birds begin to renovate their own car, imagining how they're all going to get 8 kinds of laid once it gets going, and they sing Greased Lightning, which that was a song I was surprised at the lyrics that they put in there, because the chorus goes, was this machine or something, the girls will cream.
Yeah, and also like, we'll get some tit.
It's like, oh, okay. It's pretty...
It's a real pussy
vulgar.
wagon.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it wasn't...
They literally call it a pussy wagon.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that joke was kind of crazy in Kill Bill. Like, you remember when, like, Zed drives the pussy wagon? I'm like, oh, did the greased assholes just say, like, this is our pussy wagon? Oh, my God.
Yeah. But it's a good song, though. I think there's good choreography.
There is.
And...
Again, it's one of those iconic ones, like... Again, you sort of think of it as like, okay, you can see it being like a stage thing because it's like a white background or whatever, and then they're, you know, all wearing their little, you know, whatever shop uniforms, and it's Danny Zuko and his like black pants and black t-shirt, you know, so it's like,
I appreciate that kind of like touch for the movie, that they didn't just straight up break into music in the garage. Like, they actually do kind of change the set of it's all white backgrounds and stuff, and they pull that again in Beauty School Dropout. But like, that gives it the feeling that it's like imagined, you know, which I think is kind of cool, because I think it might actually break a little bit of suspension of disbelief if it's like, yeah, these guys are actually bringing in a song in their garage as greaser guys, because that's kind of like West Side Story, you know, what you were just saying, where the Jets are running around and snapping in the street and being like, when you're a jet, you're a jet. You know, wait, just like, that's not what gangs do. Like, I'm not scared of you. But
they don't dance fight in the streets.
I never.
They're not professionally trained in ballet.
West Side Story, great music. Like, I'm about it, but don't ask me to be like taking these gangs seriously. Like, they're more serious than the Scorpions and the T-Birds. All right, but like,
which is saying a lot, I think.
And
but
skipping, it's just not. It kind of breaks the illusion.
Yeah.
And then the next day, Danny sees Sandy being sweet with her jock beau at a diner and then awkwardly apologizes while Sandy calls her boyfriend simple and just an incredibly unnecessary backhanded compliment. And like Danny immediately jumps on that. I was like, yeah, he's simple, all right, in more ways than one. And like, oh, we're just going to flirt about 10 feet away from him. How adorable. That man did nothing wrong. He was just nice and actually talked to the foreign exchange student because she was pretty. And all he gets is constantly strung along as a prop.
What I couldn't remember, and again, it's maybe I'm like combining different high school movies into like this congealed thing, but I swore at some point he did something douchey, and then that's why I was like, oh, then she's gonna go back to fucking Danny after that. But then it's like, no, to your point, that never happens. No. He's just a good dude, and that's just it.
And it's very obvious that Olivia, Sandy is just kind of like trying to get to Danny,
right? Yeah,
and so she's just kind of shitty for that one. And like, what does Danny offer? He looks like John Travolta, and he has the moves like John Travolta. Yeah. And I get that's it.
Yeah,
like he's got no prospects. He's kind of a bum. He's got loser, gross friends that he wants to be like, and it's just like that's. I'm glad you had a beach time. I don't know that we didn't see, but fucking, these aren't like my favorite characters.
But to try and win her back, Danny tries out for multiple sports teams, but he's an absolute doofus in most of them until he settles on track because it's dummy proof. And I love this montage of him just like, I'm going to try out for the basketball team. And he doesn't
just punches everyone. He's like, it goes wrong. He decks him. And it's like,
but this is where I love the coach, where he's not just like, you're a bum, get out of here, which is what I was expecting. He's just like, oh, you like to hit. Maybe let's try baseball. And then he's like, gets in a fight with the umpire, and he's like, okay, maybe you should work. Maybe you're more independent. Let's try track.
Yeah, let's contact sports.
And it's like, that's just a good coach. Like, he's really trying to be cross-disciplinary, trying to find the best approach for his student. Like, that's a guy who cares. Respect.
But I also love, like, he's like trying to like sell him on it. He's like, hey, like you run. Do you like running? And he's like, yeah, I like running. And it's like, fucking Jesus.
It also just shows how dumb he is too at the same time. Oh, you'll try swim? Like, I'll try. All right.
I try.
This is also just like part of the times, I guess. It is weird in the 21st century seeing Converse high tops as the default athletic shoe.
That was weird, yeah.
I mean, I'm a flat-footed freak, so they work really well for me, but like anyone who needs arch support is going to get real goofed. But after Danny joins the track team, Sandy sees him and ditches her jock boy, who I want to reiterate did nothing wrong. They're just being cute in the bleachers, like, Danny's putting in effort, and then she runs down to him.
No, he like trips over a hurdle because he won't take his fucking face away from watching Sandy in the bleachers, and then she like runs up to be like, "Are you okay?" And then they just giggle at her boyfriend being like, "The fuck," and then they run away together.
But they agree to go to the big dance. Now they decide that they're both going to put in an amount of effort into impressing each other. And back at the diner, they try and have a quiet date. Like they go into a back corner, and I don't know if he was just trying to get privacy or he was still embarrassed about dating a hot Australian. But he puts up like menus to try and make a little wall, and he's like hunched over.
I think he was trying to avoid his friends.
Like just
like when his, you notice like when his friends came, they like he has to act differently with his friends.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that's what he was trying to get away from.
But once they see him, all the friends come over and they just order a amazing amount of food. And they do that thing like, the motif of like someone has this huge spread for breakfast and they're like, oh, I'm running late. And they grab one piece of bacon. It just reminded me of that.
Cliche. Motif is a consistent element of your story.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
One of the pink ladies is made fun of for being fat and she looks like a normal person.
Yeah, that made no sense.
Like, not even just like, oh, she's like a little bit bigger, but definitely still healthy. No, she just looks
like a normal person.
Yeah. And the guy who goes out with her says, quote, "There's more to you than fat."
Yeah, she's like, he.
What a time, the 50s.
Yeah.
And then Rizzo and Kaneki break up again because they're just a bad couple that we're supposed to cheer for, even though all they do is fight. Frenchie also shows that her hair is now dyed Easter egg pink. She failed out of beauty school. And then all the friends leave, and she's socially rebuffed by a waitress closing the diner. She's just like, "Oh, what should I do? Should I be a waitress?" Like, "Yeah, kid, I gotta clean up.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here."
That's very real. Like for service industry, just like you're trying to do your fucking job, and then a guest thinks it's that they're the main character, and they're like, "Can you help me?" Like, no, I'm doing my fucking job so I can go home, get out of my face.
But then she has a fantasy sequence of being just talked down to by a guardian angel and beauty school dropout, and that one of the best songs in the show.
Yeah, this is my favorite.
It's like a white background, and there's like a singer, and he's just making fun of her, like, how do you say, makes fun of her for having a nose job, makes fun of her for just having no skills.
The only person who would go to you for beauty is a hooker.
Yeah.
And she's just sitting there doe-eyed and just giggling, because I guess it is a attractive man with a very pretty voice singing to him.
And she's kind of dumb.
And then my headcanon is she's just violently seizing on the floor while this is happening. This is a full fantasy scene. Not even like, oh, this is how they see themselves, but this is like actually what it's like grease lighting. Like, this is just straight up, she goes to another plane for a little bit.
Yeah. This is what did I say? It's like the penultimate episode of BoJack, where she's dying a slow brain death, and she's just inside of her own mind as the lights are going out.
I do like that they have it's Rizzo and then one of the other pink ladies, like they're some of the angels with the weird hair stuff.
Yeah.
And then at the end, the little, like, I guess Cupids or whatever. It's two of the T-birds that are like flying in on strings. Fucking
it's
hilarious.
Fun. Yeah, that's good stuff.
Yeah.
As the big dance approaches, Rizzo invites the Scorpion leader, and Kaneki invites Cha-Cha, who also has a romantic past with Danny, because despite, I guess, being an outsider with nothing else to offer, he does look like 1970s John Travolta.
Yeah.
And he's got the moves. And the big dance is here. And it has everything. National broadcasting, multi-level love triangles expressed by dance, teen drinking, a middle-aged television host hitting on a high schooler, and those rascally T-birds mooning the camera.
Mm-hmm.
This was really cool, though. I remember saying out loud when John Travolta comes in, he's wearing like a dark suit and a pink dress shirt that's unbuttoned 3 buttons.
Yeah.
Just like
pink socks, black shoes.
Like, damn, if I had more confidence, that's a really slick look.
It is. And then he pulls out the Saturday Night Fever dancing.
The cowboy one?
Just like his moves.
Disco one.
Yeah. Just the way he can move his body and his like hip and
he's
kind of moves and stuff. Like
he's incredibly talented, and I think there wasn't enough of that in this. Again, like, this is sort of the, like, I'd say, like, the biggest scene outside of, like, the car race at the end in terms of, like, scope of what's sort of going on, I'm
almost imagining, like, with such a limited budget, like, I'm sure John Travolta could crush any dancing that they threw at him.
Right.
Like, maybe even more than Patrick Swayze in, like, Dirty Dancing. But I don't think the rest of the cast could keep up with him. Yeah. So I think he's very limited by who he's working with.
And Cha-Cha was really good at dancing.
Sure. Yeah, they should have done more with that, honestly. But
yeah.
This is like a weird love triangle thing where, like, Danny stops dancing with Sandy to dance with Cha-Cha so he can win the competition. And it's televised, but it's weird. Like, you just see all the kids yelling at the camera really up close. But I guess that's
what about would happen. Yeah. But one thing and maybe I'm wrong, but, like, they never really addressed that afterwards. Like, him dancing with Cha-Cha instead, like, we don't know who wins. It just doesn't really go anywhere.
And did they build this up of, like, oh shit, this is going to be nationally broadcasted?
They
in our
do.
School?
They
like,
talk about it a few times.
I just feel like I missed that.
Yeah,
it just felt like a B plot that wasn't of big relevance, and I'm like, oh shit, no, this is like a national thing with a national spokesperson coming to, like, judge a national competition or something. Like, I feel like if that happened at a high school now, there'd be a lot of I don't know, like hype or people involved. It just seemed like a forgettable thing. Like, oh, here comes the national news. I guess we'll put our faces and butts on camera. All right, next scene.
Yeah,
like,
right.
Huh.
Yeah.
What bugged me though is like Sandy leaves the dance crying because she's been romantically defeated.
Yeah.
And then it is just status quo the next scene.
Right. That's what I like. It's weird. It doesn't go anywhere. And again, it's like a really impressive scene, like with all the dancing and all that stuff, but didn't really add anything. You know? Yeah.
The one kid taking a pull out of a fifth of whiskey on the dance floor, though, that was a move. Like, it wasn't even a flask. It was a full glass bottle.
For real.
Like, he tries to spike the punch, and then, like, a bunch of teachers like, ooh, Mr. Man. And then he doesn't have a date, so he just, I guess, gets hammered in public. Because
that's what you do, right?
Because the girl he ends up with at the end is getting hit on by the, like, host. And it's really uncomfortable. And I guess that's just another thing of, like, oh, the 50s.
Honestly, like, I don't know if this stuff was endearing or like, oh, that's a rascal. He's not supposed to be doing it like that.
She looks visibly uncomfortable,
Yeah, I'm
and
like,
then
what
it's never brought up again.
It's strange.
Yeah.
And after the dance, they go to the drive-in, and Danny gives Sandy his class ring, which very, cliche in these kind of movies. I don't remember seeing that any growing up in high school, though. I guess we all had purity rings because we're in the South.
Mm.
But and then he tries to take the relationship more physical, and Sandy sets her healthy, pre-established boundaries and leaves Danny. And he, like, tries to, like, cop a feel, and that's kind of like, oh, he's, being a little rascal. And then he, like, pins her down, and she has to, like, Danny, get the fuck off.
Yeah.
And that was another thing, I guess, is like, oh, boys will be boys.
Doesn't everybody remember that part of their high school? Remember when you pinned down that girl and she didn't want it? It's just like, no.
Well, so again, not to compare this to Saturday Night Fever, but like similar thing going on in that, but like it's done so much more tastefully where it's like there are repercussions to him acting that way, and like, I don't know, you just, again, very different types of movies. Like this movie's a lot more tongue-in-cheek, but also like I don't think that being a message that you're sort of showing impressionable people when this came out, probably not a good thing.
And also, like, Danny consistently undermines, I'm imagining who he was when Sandy fell in love with him or whatever on the beach.
Yeah.
Like, I imagine when they're frolicking in the waves, he's not pinning her down or trying to, like, say goofy shit with his friends or dancing with other women and making her cry. So, like, blow after blow, Danny delivers to the relationship they built, and there's never a consequence. And Sandy seems like she's just only getting more invested with the abuse. And it's like,
it's weird.
This is not... I'm glad this seems strange to us now. I'm glad we've moved from these aspects of like, oh, that's just how men treat their girls. It's like, no, this is unhealthy. This is a problem.
Yeah.
But after Sandy leaves in tears for the second scene in a row, Danny sings Sandy, which is a good song, but it's just him bemoaning that he didn't take no for an answer.
Yeah.
And it not going how he wanted. He's a real piece of shit for that.
And he's like, not even that, but just like, why, Sandy? Why? Why'd you leave? And it's like, oh, it's because you were trying to take advantage of her body without her consent. Like, that's probably why, Danny. I think I can answer your song.
We also didn't mention this in Hopelessly Devoted. They do that goofy ass, it's like not a hologram, but you know, like the little, like, oh, you see them
projection of her face.
Yeah, and so don't they do that in this too, where it's like her face fucking showing up on the screen or something? So and it's goofy, and like I remember the first time they did that, like we all fucking like belly laughed because it was just so like it felt like something out of a Star Wars prequel with like, sort of the transitions and stuff like that. Like it was goofy.
There might be your motif, Ben. The projected floating heads during music numbers like Summer Loving, Hopelessly Devoted to You, and this song here, where just like when they're longing for another person, just show a still image of their like goofy smile. that they try to touch.
The next day, Rizzo confides to her friend that she may be pregnant, but she isn't sure who the father is.
I thought this was at the theater. Like, I thought it was... Oh, maybe I'm wrong.
No, it's the next day.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because they're all at school because she tells her friend.
Right.
And then she's like, oh my God, I need to tell someone or I'll explode. And she tells one person and it just goes... It was funny, though. Yeah, it went down a line of people in cars. So then by the time that Rizzo gets to her car, Kaneki's like, hey, I hear you're knocked up.
Uh-huh.
And she breaks up with Kaneki again because she's a tough cookie and she can handle it herself. And then she sings There Are Worse Things I Could Do, where she states that she would rather be loose than boring or a tease.
I really like this song. Or you were saying?
No, like she owns up to it and I can respect that.
Yeah. It felt like the only song where people were really being introspective.
Yeah.
Like, where actual character growth was happening.
Where she's like, this is the life I've chosen. There's consequences, but it is my choice.
And like the whole movie, she's been a queen bitch, like running the Pink Ladies and being an asshole to Sandy and being like, oh yeah, well, I don't know who the father is because I just take it from a lot of guys. Fuck you, Kaneki. If you want to be a decent guy, I spit on you. And it's like, Jesus Christ. But then you actually you get to see, that's what musicals are for. Like getting to see the inner thought and the monologues and
when you can no longer
struggles.
When you can't put it in words, you have to sing.
That's right. But I don't know. This is the time where the movie made me feel anything. The rest of the movie, I really didn't. I was just like, oh, shiny dance numbers and 50s aesthetic. That's fun. Well, but this one, I was like, nice.
The rest of the movie was supposed to make you horny.
Oh, no, it didn't work.
And then the T-Birds set up to race Grease Lightning against the Scorpions on, it looks like the LA River. And there's some homoerotic tension that you can cut with a knife between Danny and Kaneki. Oh my God.
They had better chemistry then.
They give each other a hug and then they back up to like, oh, we don't hug. We're too tough guys.
It is like, Danny, I just watched a movie about a duelist and he had a second. Will you be my second? I need you, man. And
I'll give you my class ring.
And these aren't criticisms, but it's just funny because I know fucking high schools act like this, but they're like so much closer and seem like more attracted to their friends than the girls they're trying to be with. Where it's like, yeah, I like you, but my boys, I'm so fucking tight and I embrace them with my body and my soul and we sweat together and love together. And it's like, bro, this is kind of homoerotic, dude. It's no! Well, don't you dare say that. We're straight as fuck. But I'm with my boys and I love them in a deep level. More than if we could connect our bodies, we would. You know what I mean? It's like, no, dude.
It's like the meme of after I hit a PR at the gym and I get the most dirty, erotic text from my bro.
Exactly. That's the energy.
But then the stakes are raised because it's being for pink slips. And also Kaneki is knocked out because he gets hit by a door.
Oh, and also the weirdest... Well, I find it weird. It's the shop teacher who works for the high school goes with them to this street race. And she's looking at the engine and checking it over before. Really weird.
Really? I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, no, I thought that was bizarre.
Yeah.
But
she's got to be there for her boys.
That's what I'm talking about. It looks like a high school that I'm familiar with, but just way more unregulated. You just do whatever the fuck you want.
But then the race starts because Danny has to take the wheel and Sandy watches wistfully. And this race is incredibly underwhelming.
Yep.
They can't go super fast, so they can't do Le Mans. The movie is very famous because all the cars were going full speed, but usually you can cheat by if you slow down the rate of the film, stuff looks faster. It looks kind of jittery, but that's a way that makes it can add speed and excitement. And they're going it looks 40 miles an hour, which I guess if you're just hauling ass and you don't have seatbelts, there is danger. And the Scorpions have blades on their wheels that cuts into the other car.
Yeah.
But they're trying to do it with the score, but I just am not. it doesn't have that fire in my stomach of I hope Danny's going to be okay.
No, they're trying to make it like Ben-Hur, like the chariot race, where like the evil guy's trying to sabotage, the good guy, and the race looks tight. But when you do that on like a very tight budget with 40s muscle cars,
the closest thing to any tension that happens in this race is there's like, because again, it's in like whatever the LA River bank thing, and there's like a little like, I don't know, tunnel, like drain tunnel, sort of thing, and they like go up on like the sides, and it's like, but they're not even that close, so it's like,
and they do it very like steadily.
Yeah,
like it's not like a jackknife turn, like break. It's just like, and now we're drifting to the right over here. Whoa!
Yeah, and I'm just like, it's weird because the tension was more from the practical sense that was something that they did, and it's like, wow, that must have been like, I mean, a little scary at least. That's not something I would do.
It's fun though. It gives me the feeling of like a film project of like, we need an action sequence. Bring out your cars and let's go like 50 miles an hour in the basin. Like, we could just do this, knock this out in 30 minutes. Like, let's fucking go.
Right.
And it's like, oh, that was really cool action sequence, man. Like, we got that on film. Nice. They all high five and it's just lame. Like,
and it ends with they do like a jump over the river, and it's trying to be like the Dukes of Hazzard, like yeehaw! But they go like 2 feet in the air, and the Scorpion car just like gets turned around, and I think you guys both looked at each other and went poodoo.
Yeah.
Like Sebulba. But Danny wins, and it's all very exciting. And aroused by the danger, Sandy decides it's time to change up her vibe because she's going to get Danny back for some reason.
And she has, is this when she does the little, it's like a reprise of Sandra Dee where she's like longingly looking at him, and it's like, if this is the lesson that you're gleaning from all this, and we'll get into that, I think, at the end.
And it'd be something like, again, if we could develop this more of like, maybe when Danny's looking, he's going to the sports place, right, to try to develop himself and be like, I want to be more of what Sandy would like, and I need to get passionate about something. And he's not good at sports. Maybe he could be good at like, I don't know, fucking auto tech. And maybe you could tie that into Grease Lightning, where he really gets passionate about this car and this project and develops and like devotes himself and is passionate about something. And that's what makes Sandy be like, wow, he's really turning into somebody I want to be with.
Yeah, but he's the same person that he was at the beginning.
He's just a goofy fucking greaser. And he's like, oh, my friend got knocked out. I guess I got to drive the car. And it's like, Sandy's like,
he and I made out before.
He made the girl cream. I got to go. I got to go give him some tit. It's just stupid. But that's high school, I guess.
Right, and I guess in that regard, it's...
I know. That's something, this movie seems like it's immune to a lot of this criticism because it's like, wow, this is so juvenile and like, only a kid would think in this way. It's like, well, all right.
Yeah.
You know what? Now that I'm saying it out loud, fine, I guess.
I thought in high school, if I beat a guy up with my fist, then his girlfriend would immediately fall in love with me.
But like, honestly, the girl is probably really immature too. So fucking maybe like adults would not be handling these things in the same ways, but I don't know.
Yeah. If you're like, I got to win my girl back, I'm going to do street racing. Be like, no, tell her about a 401k.
Yeah. I feel like the reason like, people know that, you just because you can beat up my boyfriend doesn't mean you're going to be a good boyfriend. It's because they might have already experienced that in something like high school. So
fair.
Yeah, I don't know.
But it's the end of the year carnival, which, I mean, you guys remember ours, right?
As you do.
And Danny is ribbed for having a Letterman in track, which some of the apologists for this movie are like, oh, Danny also has to improve. Like, he joins a sport.
Yeah.
And like the last semester of school too. Like,
he fucked up a hurdle and he got the girl.
Yeah.
Like, good job, Danny. That is the peak of his sports arc.
Yeah.
And like, if it was something that was non-traditionally masculine or cool, like, oh, I got really into like, I don't know, the geography club and we like won a competition, be like, oh, he is actually caring more about his passion than impressing people. But being a varsity athlete is not this lame thing you accept that you have to do to win people's attention.
Yeah.
But Sandy arrives in her new greaser outfit. It's like leather everything. Her hair's all done up. Also, Rizzo's not pregnant, which is just... I don't know if they just were running out of pages, but she literally goes like, I'm not pregnant. She's like...
And we wrap that up, put a bow in it.
And she agrees to, I think, marry Kaneki. He's like, I'm going to make you an honest woman. I I have a high school education. I'm a white man in the 50s. Literally, the sky is the limit of the financial.
I'm just going to become a VP of a company. Like, you just pick up a job like that off like a piece of bubblegum on the street.
I'm going to buy a 4-bedroom house with a firm handshake.
Yeah, you'd be like, I like the cut of your jib, son. Have $200,000 a year.
But at least the arc for what it is hand waved to a conclusion. Then Danny and Sandy sing "You're the One That I Want" to declare their love. And I like this song. I like that they make it a little kinetic, like they're going through the fun house.
Yeah.
So there's
the Shake Shack.
Yeah.
There's like movement to it, and it's neat. And Sandy is being more sexual, like she's like pushing him down with her foot, and she's wearing skin tight clothes,
smoking a cigarette.
Yeah, but like out of the people that needed to like have an arc to change who they were, I didn't think it was Sandy. Like, to meet these
not at all.
dumb gangsters, not gangsters, but wannabe gangsters at their level instead of at her more like serious and put together level. Like, no, but fine, whatever. I don't care. This movie wasn't telling you anything. Like, it's just high school. Like, okay, fine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that being said, if a girl came up in a skin-tight outfit and smoked a cigarette and said, "Tell me about it, stud,"
that'd be fucking...
I would ruin 3 months of my life over that.
Yeah, that's true.
But then the kids all state that they'll be friends forever. And like, could you imagine hanging out with your high school friend a
no
decade?
one heard that. Certainly not.
And then they sing "We Go Together." And then Danny and Sandy ride off and get in a hot rod, fly off into the sky. I mean, I like this song, but that's just because the song I learned in first grade just to learn like basic beats and rhythm was this for some reason.
Yeah, I not a huge fan. I like what you said, like the dynamics and the set. Like if you're gonna do a show stopping, like here's the finale, they do it well there with the carnival and the movement and the whole cast is singing the chorus and stuff. That's cool, but it's just so poppy and there's vapid. Like, we go together like shooby-doo-bop-doo-doo-da-bee. Like,
and none of us learned anything.
Yeah, like, all right,
like,
that is a song you sang to a beat.
Yeah. So I guess, with all that done, what did we, I guess, sort of think of this, like, overall for y'all?
It's good. I think Ben put it pretty well. Like, when you're separated from the nostalgia, it's a fine movie. Like, it's not trash. It's not like Cats, where it was just a goof fest. But, like, I think it was a 70-ish on Metacritic, which is what I felt. It was like, it's a good movie. Like, none of the performances are amazing. None of the, like, sets or effects are, like, incredible. There's some catchy songs, but I think just it has so much of a cultural presence, and it just going off inertia at that point. If this dropped today, it would not do, even if it was, like, updated. And it's like, what was it like being in high school in, like, 2005? Would not have nearly the amount of cultural impact or financial success.
Yeah, I think what I'm left with is like everybody knows the songs. Like unless you just fucking live under a rock, Grease. Even if you don't know where these songs come from, you have heard them. Like Summer Lovin' and all of that, and any Frankie Valli's music. So I would say if you like the music, just keep listening to the music. You don't need. This is not like essential viewing to enhance your love of those songs. So I can't just recommend people watch this, but if you're interested in seeing like the what's the point? What's the word? The like nexus, I don't know if that's the right word, but the fountainhead, I guess, of like coming of age high school movies. This is an interesting study because it has a lot. It's like feels like a grandfather, like a skeleton of where these things come from. And then when we look at movies like Fast Times at Ridgemont High or Superbad or any other coming of age high school Breakfast Club kind of thing, it feels like all of them are building on this idea. Right. Like these characters are so hollow that there's a lot to work with, and then you get these movies that do very interesting things with characters based on a high school coming of age experience. And like I think it's still valuable to notice or to understand that we wouldn't have teenagers if it wasn't for the baby boomers. So they are like, this is a new idea. Like that teenagers are a market and that their nostalgia is something to show in film or art or whatever. The 50s was like the teenager time. So it's interesting through a historic perspective of like, oh, this is where teenage coming of age movies came from. Yeah, I feel like
what I got out of this, it's not equal quality, but it reminds me when people criticize Lord of the Rings because it's like cliche and like overdone. It's like, no. That's where this came from. Yeah. And if you like, some of the characters in Lord of the Rings are kind of flat. Like Aragorn was very famously punched up for the movie and made more complex. So but like it had to come from somewhere.
Sure. And you and I are kind of like this, where we like looking at stuff like that. And if you enjoy seeing where a lot of origins are, then I recommend watching this, because it's like we watched the 1920s Nosferatu, and it's like, oh, that's interesting what they do with the shadow, and this is where that motif or things come from, and oh, here's where the vampire is like dead in sunlight. Like, that's cool to see the origins of these things. But do I recommend to somebody who doesn't care about that shit to be like, yeah, you should watch the 1920s Nosferatu? Absolutely not. And I kind of feel the same way with this. Like, the music's good. Listen to the music.
We talked about it when we were watching the movie, but like there's a level of earnestness to how, like, yes, they're overacting, but like they're in on the joke, and that it's not like serious. And so in that regard, it's like, you know, it sort of circles back to working in some instances, but then there's other things, like we've said, you know, that just, you can do that, but you can still make a point too. Yeah. And so I think I agree, like, listen to the music. You know, if you're into theater, I guess, you know, maybe check out the stage show, because like I've seen it on stage too, and it's one of those things where I think it's almost more impressive, like in that sort of setting. Yeah, that's sort of where I sit.
I mean, like if this came out in a sing-along at like Alamo Draft House, I wouldn't like move heaven and earth 3 months ahead of time to make sure we went there. But if we were like, hey guys, we can get tickets to this, I think it'd be a good time. Yeah. Easy Friday night.
And just understand it's all style and no substance.
Yeah. With that, have any of y'all seen Grease 2?
Oh. No.
Grease or something?
No, they're not that clever.
What the fuck is Grease 2?
I feel like I've seen it once. Like, it was like a Hollywood video rental, and that probably just dated the shit out of me. But like, you know, there's one of those where it's like, even my parents hadn't seen it, and then we watched it as a family, and they're like, this is fucking garbage. Like, this is just, it's terrible. Like, the only one who comes back is, I think it's Frenchie.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Yeah, which is, that tells you what you need to know.
I was like, if you took John Travolta out of this movie, you would not have Grease. Like, you just wouldn't at all.
Yeah.
But it's wacky because it switches up that it's a nerdy guy who has to impress the greaser girl, who is played by Michelle Pfeiffer.
That's an interesting concept. Do they have an actual built and proven soundtrack to lean on?
There's 3 songs about sex. Oh. Like a song is like reproduction, where they're just singing about like reproduction in a biology lab, and I'm pretty sure one of the students hits on the teacher, and it's something like, maybe we could do some like field work, something to that effect.
Oh my god.
What a time that I guess it would be the mid 80s. Or it's going to be like Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, where it comes out 12 years later.
Do y'all have any other sort of final thoughts before we wrap things up about Grease?
I mean, I'm not saying don't see it, but if you know the songs, you know it. Because this thing does not have a plot.
I feel it feels just slightly tragic that like Grease will never again have the following it did. Like every year, it's probably dropping off and getting more dated and losing its audience. It was a little sad in that respect. I don't think the music's going anywhere. Like,
yeah.
But I think this is just going to become like a fossil and just an interesting thing to study for anthropologists. Of just like, look at the culture in the 50s. How quaint. Yeah. And that's where we're at now. And so I don't know if that's tragic or progressive, or I don't know how to feel about it.
Right. Yeah. So I guess with that, that is going to do it for today's episode of the Boyos Discuss. If you enjoyed it, we'd really appreciate it if you'd like the video and subscribe to the channel. We'll be back next week. I don't think we've ironed out what
I think we agreed we're going to watch Sound of Music.
Okay. Oh yeah. Well, okay.
Sure, why not?
So yeah, we'll be back for Sound of Music. That's gonna be a fucking doozy. So
nice.
Anyways, guys, until next time.
That movie's long gone, like the original ending to Grease. been up here for 4 days. Why did you drive the car into the air if you didn't know how to get it back down?
Look, Sandy, it seemed like a good idea at the time. Obviously, I didn't think ahead.
It's so cold. Let's cuddle together for warmth.
I'm warm enough.